Good evening. My name is Danielle Coleman, and this is my presentation on the Global Fish Survey of the Reef manta ray and the Leafy sea dragon. The first species in question is commonly known as the Leafy sea dragon. The taxonomy of the Phycondrus eques, also known as the Leafy sea dragon, are as follows. Belongs to kingdom Animalia, phylum Chordata, subphylum Vertebrata, class Actinophagyri, order Cygnathiformes, family Cygnathidae, genus Polychondrus, species Phycondrus eques. Excuse my pronunciation. The characteristics and distribution of the Leafy sea dragon. The Leafy sea dragon is a very unique animal, especially in their appearance. They can grow to an average size of about 30 centimeters in length. Their bodies lack any form of scales and instead have hard, bony plates covering the entirety of their bodies. Polychondrus eques have a small head with a long, thin, pipe-like toothless snout and possess a tail that is about half of their total length. They have a series of hard, exoskeletal rings around their entire body. The Leafy sea dragon acquired its common name due to the broad, flat appendages extending from the plates surrounding the body that strongly resemble seaweed branches. These elaborate leaf-like appendages protrude from the head, body, and tail. On either side of the body containing the leaf-like appendages, there are several sharp spines that aid in defense against predators. They have transparent dorsal and pectoral fins that are quite small, but they have lost their caudal and pelvic fins. Leafy sea dragons range in color from yellow-brown to a greenish body color with dark pink rib bands with green-brown leafy appendages, with thin white lines radiating from the eye and extending over the body. The color of leafy sea dragons varies depending upon age, depth, and diet. For example, leafy sea dragons found at greater depths tend to range from dark brown to a burgundy red. Their habitat and distribution. Leafy sea dragons are entirely a marine species and are only found in temperate coastal waters of southern and western Australia. The water temperatures in these locations are seasonally between 13 to 19 degrees Celsius or 55 to 67 degrees Fahrenheit. They live amongst rocky reefs, sand patches that are located close to the reef, seaweed beds, and seagrass meadows. They are typically found around the surface in shallow waters ranging down to about 30 meters deep. Leafy sea dragons remain in these habitats for all stages of their life. The second species being showcased is Mobula alfredi, commonly known as the reef manta ray. The taxonomy of Mobula alfredi is as follows. Kingdom Animalia, phylum Chordata, subphylum Vertebrata, class Chondrichthyes, order Rajiformes, family Mobilidae, genus Mobula, species Mobula alfredi. Characteristics and distribution of reef manta rays. Reef manta rays reach an average size of about 300 to 350 centimeters and can weigh up to 700 kilograms. They transition between white and black markings on their dorsal surface. The color boundaries in this area are typically blurred, forming a V on their back, which is visible in the picture of the manta. Reef manta rays have unique ventral spots between their gill slits and across the edges of their pectoral fins and abdominal region. The tail is equal to or shorter than the disc length of the individual and has no barb or bony mass at the base of their tail. Mobula alfredi have large wing-like pectoral fins and cephalic lobes that wrap around the mouth and aid in feeding. Mantas have large gill plates with fused lateral lobes and a rounded terminal lobe. Plates are uniformly black. In addition to this, they have dermal dentricles on the skin that are evenly spaced but not arranged in a linear pattern. Their habitat and distribution. Mobula alfredi is found strictly in marine habitats. They are found specifically in temperate and tropical seas around the world. They prefer warm, shallow coastal areas near coral reefs and seagrass beds. More specifically, they are found in the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, as well as in the Indian Ocean, near Sri Lanka, Indonesia, India, Thailand, and Australia. Reef manta rays are typically sighted near coral and rocky reef locations, and typically avoid open and deep waters. They remain within the same home range and habitat to breed and live, and the young typically are birthed and eventually live in these same locations as well. In addition to the distribution map that can be seen, the reef mantas have also been found to live and breed along the coastline of Hawaii. The closely related species to the leafy sea dragon starts with the common sea dragon. They come in a large range of vibrant colors. They do grow weed-like fins, but lack the fullness and abundance of appendages that the leafy sea dragon has. The common sea dragon, also known as the weedy sea dragon, is smaller in size. The ruby sea dragon, Phylloperiox dewey, lack leaf-like appendages and come in strictly different variations of red. The ruby sea dragon was recently discovered as a new species as well, due to its lack of visible difference between the ruby and the common sea dragon. The first closely related species to the reef manta ray is the oceanic manta ray, Mobula birostrus. The oceanic manta is very similar in appearance to the reef manta ray, although the oceanic manta gets much larger in size and spends most of its time traveling through open water and diving deeper into the ocean. They do make occasional stops at reef locations to be cleaned at cleaning stations by Romiras. The next species is a spine-tailed devil ray, Mobula mobular. Spine-tails have a much narrower head shape in comparison to manta rays, and their cephalic fins are shorter and resemble horns when they're rolled up. Life history of leafy sea dragons. Leafy sea dragons congregate in late winter and form monogamous pairs for mating. Sexes within leafy sea dragons remain separated, although the parental role is shifted. The female develops 200 to 300 eggs, and then the eggs are transferred from the female onto the male's tail and fertilized externally. The male incubates the eggs and forms many capillaries on the underside of their tail, which have a spongy patch that hold and incubate the eggs, as can be seen in the photo. Leafy sea dragon's incubation period is roughly 4 to 6 weeks, and hatching occurs over several days to maximize survival rates. The first few days after birth, the young sea dragons rely on a yolk sac to provide the essential nutrients. But soon after their birth, the newborns are able to swim and hunt on their own. They settle on the substrate in shallow water where they live off the egg yolk. The young have very short snouts, they lack leafy appendages, and are colored silver and black. Juvenile leafy sea dragons inhabit shallow, sheltered waters in association with sand, weed, and rubble in about 5 to 7 meter depths and can be seen occasionally in small aggregations. At birth, they are 20 millimeters and grow to about 20 centimeters in about a year, gradually growing up to 30 centimeters. Between 1 and 2 years, the leafy sea dragon reaches sexual maturity and can live for 7 years in captivity, as the wild lifespan is not yet known officially. Although not much is known about the reproduction, it is known that males can care for 2 broods every season. The life history of the reef manta ray. Reef manta rays are sexually dimorphic. The females are larger than the males and can be identified via a cloaca located between their ventral fins. The males possess 2 claspers, which extend from their pelvic fins. The reef manta ray's gestation period is approximately 1 year, and the fetus is nourished in the mother's uterus. They exhibit aplacental viviparity and lipid histotrophic development. This means that the fetus is nourished with a protein and lipid-rich histotroph secreted by urine villi instead of a placenta. During pregnancy, only one pup develops at a time, but occasionally twins are possible. Baby reef mantas are born live, and newborn reef mantas measure from 190 to 150 centimeters in disc width. Although young individuals are very rare to find, it is hypothesized that juveniles may segregate themselves from adult populations. Reef mantas display indeterminate growth, meaning they continue to grow throughout their lives. Females reproduce biannually and have around a 1 to 2 year long resting period between pregnancies due to the energy output needed during pregnancy. Reef manta rays reach sexual maturity at different ages depending upon size and presence of mating scars. Females reach 400 to 490 centimeter disc width in roughly 8 years, whereas males reach 300 centimeter disc width in roughly 6 years. Reef manta rays are idioparous, which means they can undergo many reproductive events throughout their lifetime. Reef manta rays live on average for 30 years and can live upwards to 40 years in the wild. Although mortality rates are high amongst juveniles, adult mortality is low, possibly due to their large size and lack of predators. The reef manta's breeding season appears to be between October and January. Mating takes place in warm waters and often around the cleaning stations. Their mating system is polygynandrous, meaning both male and females have several different mating partners throughout their life. There are 5 steps in reef manta ray mating: chasing, biting, copulsion, post-copulsion holding, and separation. Male courting can take upwards to 2 hours, and males exhibit their competition for the female by swimming faster or in unison with other males, performing complex swim patterns, and/or breaching the water. Once a male is chosen by the female, the male positions himself and bites down on the female's pectoral fins and turns upside down. The reef mantas are viviparous, meaning that fertilization and development occur internally. Once the pup is born, there is no parental care after birth. It has been speculated that newborns and young reef mantas congregate in nursery habitats such as lagoons. Lagoons can provide calm water as well as offer protection from larger predators as they mature. Leafy sea dragon conservation efforts. The Aquarium of the Pacific states that leafy sea dragons were listed as near threatened on the IUCN Red List. They are in trouble because of habitat destruction due to human development, pollution, excessive fertilizer runoff, poaching, and fishing practices where they may end up trapped in bycatch. In 2016, they were listed as least concern, yet their population trend is still decreasing. The leafy sea dragon is currently protected in both South and Western Australia. The South Australian government has allowed 1 brooding male to be collected each year since 1987. The hatchlings from this individual male are sent throughout Australia and overseas for education and research programs at other aquariums and facilities. Leafy sea dragons are protected by legislation in Victoria, South Australia, and Western Australia. The Dragon Search Project is managed by Australia's Marine and Coastal Community Network to record sightings by the public in an effort to monitor the number and size of sea dragon populations. The leafy sea dragon inhabits seagrasses and seagrass beds, which are under increasing threat from pollution and excessive pollution from runoff. past, collectors stripped habitat areas bare in search of leafy sea dragons to sell to the pet trade, as well as for use in Asian medicines. A lack of information about the population size and lifestyle make developing a solid management and conservation plan difficult. Reef manta ray conservation. As of 2017, Mobula alfredi has been assessed for the IUCN Red List of Threatened Species in 2018. They are currently considered to be vulnerable. They are also currently have a decreasing population trend and have been listed on Appendix 11 of CITES to restrict their international trade. They are poached for their meat, skin, liver oil, and gill plates. The gill plates are sold for high prices in Asia and are used for Chinese health tonics. The global population size of reef mantas is not fully known, but their local and regional population sizes have been estimated to be small, at less than 1,000 individuals per location, with one exception for Maldives, where the population is estimated to be around 10,000. Reef manta rays rarely travel long distances and usually hang around their home ranges and reefs within those areas, which make local depletion a high likelihood. Due to their slow life history, they have one of the lowest maximum rates of population increase among elasmobranchs. It has been stated that very rapid declines in sighting records have occurred where they are targeted or caught as bycatch. For example, reef manta ray sightings declined by 98% over a 15-year period in southern Mozambique. The creators of the website named Sharks and Rays continue to state that where fishing pressure is higher, the reef manta ray is expected to have declined to the point of local extinction in many places throughout much of the Indian Ocean. Climate change also impacts reef manta rays as they are dependent upon the reef ecosystem to be healthy, as well as the change in temperature could be altering the zooplankton abundance, which is their main food source. Fish health diagnosis for the leafy sea dragon. Leafy sea dragons have previously been reported to be impacted by three main diseases. These diseases are and stem from epitheliositis, vibroseptimia, and coccidiosis. Uronemiasis is the most common epidemiologic diagnosis detected histologically in leafy sea dragons. Other diagnoses include bacterial sepsis, mycobacteriosis, neoplasmia, and oxygen supersaturation. The study that gathered this information was conducted with the help of 4 institutions: the Dallas World Aquarium, the Florida Aquarium, New England Aquarium, and the Shedd Aquarium. Maintaining proper husbandry is vital to the health of these animals, such as temperature, tank size, lighting, and feeding. Ingestion of gravel may also present a potential danger by causing an obstruction. Gravel should be large enough to prevent ingestion. For prevention or diagnosis, some of the steps to evaluate the health of a leafy sea dragon are physical examination, presence of other symptoms as well as changes in behavior to help gauge the overall health of the animal, microscopic examination where you scrape skin and/or take a gill biopsy, examine under a microscope to look for parasites, bacteria, or fungal organisms, bacterial and fungal cultures, take samples of problematic tissue and culture it to identify any infection or bacteria. Histopathology, take a biopsy of the affected tissue, place it under a microscope to look for additional signs of infection, abnormalities, or inflammation. Proper management is extremely important. Maintaining good water quality and observing and monitoring the fish's behavior and appearance on a regular basis so that any abnormalities are noticed swiftly and avoid overcrowding within the enclosure. A scientist named Scott Weber was looking at a leafy sea dragon that had died due to an unknown agent at the time. In the first photo, there are visible flocci of pink discoloration over the head, neck, and trunk regions caused by a ciliated protozoan infection. Figure 2 depicts the transverse section throughout the neck. Ulcerations on one side of the body wall, shown by the arrow. Disruptions of muscle fibers, an increase in cell density between muscle fibers can be seen. Weber stated that the clear spaces between the muscle bundles may be edema or tissue separation due to a preparation artifact like hemiotoxylin and eosin. The exhibit story for the reef manta and the leafy sea dragon. The leafy sea dragon exhibit should showcase the harmful impacts of the aquarium trade on wild populations, as well as the harmful impacts of human activities on these animals' habitats, such as seagrass beds and kelp forests via pollution, runoff, and development. The exhibit should focus on and explain the rarity of the leafy sea dragon due to their very specific habitat and location within the world's ocean, which happens to be only in southern and western Australia. The reef manta ray exhibit should showcase the harmful impacts of poaching for specific organs and materials, as well as the impacts of overexploiting of large fish species via overfishing and bycatch. In addition, the harmful impacts of human activities on these animals' habitats, such as coral reefs via population runoff and development, should be highlighted. It is important to educate the public on vital information about the threats to these animals in order to spark interest in their survival and conservation efforts. Questions. Which fish species would be the easiest for collection? The fish species, in my opinion, that would be easiest for collection would be the leafy sea dragon due to the already present keeping of leafy sea dragons in the aquarium setting. Although only one brooding male is collected a year, there is collections of juvenile leafy sea dragons that are sent out to the aquariums for educational research purposes in present day. Reef manta rays would be more difficult to keep in an aquarium setting due to their size and lack of knowledge about keeping them in captivity. I believe that between the management strategies in place for the leafy sea dragon in comparison to the reef manta ray, it is better conservation practice. They heavily monitor individual sightings, and the government within Australia is very involved in the conservation of the leafy sea dragon, as they are only found in southern and western waters of Australia, whereas reef manta rays have a larger distribution throughout the world's oceans. Therefore, it is harder to introduce and enforce effective conservation plans and have them be followed. Thank you, and have a good day.